Chronicle. And we're going to talk a little country. Well, the opposition to country out there right now is a man by the name of Jason Smith for sheriff. His full name now is Jason Smith for sheriff of Washington Parish.
Yes, it is.
So get it straight. Welcome back, Jason Smith. How are you, buddy?
We're good, thanks.
No, we're good now because you brought us some of your merch, and I have one of the much coveted, looky right here, This Ain't No Country Club t-shirt. God, that's hilarious.
Yes.
First of all, and again, this was your wife's idea, right, Jason?
That's right. She's the one woman marketing department.
I love it. She's
that.
doing a hell of a job.
Yes.
And if she's listening right now, you're doing a hell of a job. Nobody's told you today, all right? And Jordan, so I have one. Jordan has one. That is a different Jason Smith shirt you have there.
Yeah, this one's actually a rare collectible. So, back the beard.
Back the beard?
Yes.
Okay, and so there's a silhouette of Jason Smith. You got the salt and the pepper thing going on there on the shirt. The beard is prominently featured as the main focus on that t-shirt.
Well, that's why it says back the beard.
Back the beard.
Yeah.
I love it. That's hilarious. I love your merch, Jason. God,
Yeah.
this is so clever. It's so funny. How are people reacting to this on the streets?
No, it's been good. One of the things we wanted to do from the outset was to differentiate ourselves from what political candidates have done before.
Mm-hmm.
We really tried to be as genuine as we possibly could. And if anybody that knows my wife knows her, she's very creative. And this has all been her brainchild. And I think the support we've gotten kind of shows that we've touched a nerve, that people are just tired of the same old stuff.
Yeah.
What are other candidates doing? Kind of,
Nothing like these shirts, right?
No, I mean, people, I've always said in the absence of knowing what to do, you do what you know. And there have been lots of people that have given me advice since we started of the things that have gone on 50 years before. Like you have to knock on every door in Washington Parish. Well, I don't think holds true very
We're going
much
to go
anymore.
door to door.
Well, in years past, that might have made sense. When you're talking about landlines and newspapers, it's the only way to reach
At
people.
one time, sure.
But now it's a good way to get shot. You don't want to walk up on people's doors.
No offense, but especially in Washington Parish.
Well,
The
No.
sound of a shotgun clicking. Woo! No, sir.
I mean, we're making light of it, but times have changed.
Yeah.
Homes are now people's refuge from everything else. There's so many ways for people to be connected through social media that. With our rising crime in Washington Parish, there's so many property crimes, people walking the roads.
Right.
People are very suspicious of people coming up to your house.
Sure,
If you
you
live
gotta-
off the road.
Yeah.
There's no reason for somebody to be coming to your house necessarily.
Yeah, when somebody used to knock on my door, I'm like, ooh, who's here? Somebody knocks on my door today, I'm like, everyone be quiet.
Don't move.
Don't.
Maybe they'll go
Yeah,
away.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
So that's good. Good for you. So, but you're not doing that. I mean, 'cause
No.
you got to read the room kind of, right, in politics and running for office.
Yeah.
I've never done this, so I'm just asking you.
No, it's interesting. From the outset, I think some people tried to make people suspicious of us as outsiders because we had moved around with the Marine Corps for so long. Coming back to Washington Parish, there were things that were obvious to me that weren't so obvious to everybody else.
Right.
There's a reason why in this story the emperor has no clothes, that the one that identifies he has no clothes as a kid, not because he's a kid, but because that kid has a fresh perspective. So when we came back to Washington Parish, it was obvious to me that what we are doing in terms of our political, the people that were elected to office is not getting us a result. And these are not people to be afraid of. They're not people to be intimidated by, that they are humans like all of us, and they're stuck in ways that do not work. The reality is that we have the opportunity to move forward. But, change is difficult.
Right.
I mean, we were talking off air about the guy that was selling horse and buggies was probably upset at the guy that came along and sold the first car. But the reality is none of us are trying to go back to horse and buggies.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't listen to this man named Ford. He's crazy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Combustible
An
machines.
assembly line?
It'll never work.
Easier work.
What you need is a new whip and buggy. That's all you just get those coach whips ready. So yeah, you're right. Change is inevitable. I have never. Did you ever think you would run for public office?
No.
Never.
Never.
You never thought that.
No.
But here you are, and God, this is something I'm all about the experience. I would run for office. I've gone to karaoke contests with the intent of I'm going to lose, and that's fine. I can run for office and lose and still learn something about my voter base, and just how to run a campaign. First of all, for you, what was it like being the recipient of or victim of a smear campaign? That had to be a lot of fun, huh?
Fun is probably not the right word for it, but it was reaffirming in a way, because I would always tell Marines, hey, you don't start taking rounds until you get close to the target. So when I knew that they started to go negative against us, that we had touched a nerve, and that they were in some ways very nervous about their position, that we were on the right track.
Yeah, I think that's really something I've noticed in politics when they start coming out and doing the smear campaigns. That's a bad sign.
Attack
it's a
ads.
Really bad sign.
It's kind of like he who attacks first loses. Like almost.
Yeah,
it's
you give
like
up
that.
your position.
Right, you do. Is that a military almost philosophy as well, Jason?
No, I mean there's a lot of truth to that. I mean it's exactly what you described. Now it's interesting that in the second round here, our election is tomorrow.
Right.
There hasn't been any negative. Officially, there's been no negative. There's been lots of rumors spread.
Wait till after the
behind
show.
scenes.
Wait till after the show.
No, but my point is that now we've gone completely the opposite direction. We're trying to play on people's emotions. Not we are, but my opponent is trying to play on people's emotions by talking about all positive things and family things. But the interesting thing is that we're not talking about anything relating to his record over the last 12 years. As a sheriff for 3 terms, that's all you should ever have to run on. Now, he started out the campaign talking about that he was proud of his record, but he hasn't talked about his record in a long time at this point.
Okay. And that's what I was going to ask you, too. In this final stretch, in this last push before Election Day tomorrow, what have you been doing out there? Anything different or what?
No, we've been doing more of the same. I recognize, and I made a big deal about the fact that most people voted for change. 66% of the people voted against the incumbent, but 58% of the people voted for somebody other than me in the first round.
Right.
So this runoff has given me the opportunity to get in front of those people who I was not their first choice, but they still voted for change. And so I've been talking to lots of people.
Right.
If anything, the pace has picked up. In some ways, I may have thought that the pace might have slowed down since there's only 2 candidates and everyone had kind of made up their mind. But really, the pace has just picked up, if anything. I'm constantly meeting people that I haven't had a chance to talk to yet. More and more people are supportive. You can see that the responses we're getting are people that are going back and looking at our old videos, and that wouldn't happen if they had always been with us because they've already seen all that stuff. We're getting a lot of new people, a lot of people calling, looking for meetings, talking on phones, and it's been good.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask you too. So even mathematics, do the math of the your constituents and the voters, Washington Parish, percentage-wise. You have this. I mean, you have the advantage, I think, just because, just think of what was the percentage of people that did not vote for your opposition now, the incumbent?
66%.
Okay, right. So there's a lot of, it's kind of like you got this. Are you very confident about it?
No, I feel confident. I wouldn't be continuing on this. I wouldn't have started this if I wasn't confident that we were ready for a change. And the results of the election on the 14th just supported what I already believed, that we were ready to move forward. I know people will say that if you're confident, you don't want to be overconfident, but really the work has been done at this point. We've done this now really since January we started, and it's either done or it's not done. There's nothing that I'm going to do today that's going to really affect the results of the election. All of the hay is in the barn, so to speak.
Oh, okay. I like that. So I didn't know if y'all were ramping up and staying super busy right up until Election Day or what.
No, the thing that's probably most pressing right now is we are throwing an event at the Willows just outside of Franklinton. It's about in the center of the parish. It's about 25 minutes from just about everywhere in the parish. We want to put a party on to show everyone that's come out to support us how much we appreciate it. We will watch the election results there. So if you hear about it, go on Facebook and the details are there. It's going to be from 7 to 12. It's an open invitation to anybody that wants to come out and just to have a good night. It's going to be good. So my wife is very busy putting all that together right now.
Very good, very good. Now, what has your opposition done in these final days? Have you noticed anything that he might be doing differently out there?
I've heard reports that he's in parking lots and trying to meet people, but again, that's just all the things that have been done previously. I think when there's
parking lots.
Yeah,
what's he doing? Putting out flyers or something?
That's what I've heard.
Flyers, Jordan? Flyers? Do you know what a flyer is? I'm sorry. I just had to ask. Okay.
But again, I can't really stress enough that there is a clear difference between what we're trying to do and what has been done before. So I can't necessarily fault him for doing the things that he always has done because he's been very successful in getting elected. I just don't think he realizes how much those types of things aren't going to work for him this time.
Yeah, There's definitely some change in the air right now. And how does it feel that people want your stuff? People want your free T-shirts and stuff, and the caps. Did you run out of caps again? The Jason Smith for Sheriff caps.
We have run out of caps. We actually ordered some more. We've got a little bit different style cap now, but we do have a handful of them.
Wow. Okay, man. It's just so you got back the beard first of all, classic. And are you out of shirts? Are these like, because for weeks now, Jordan, what have we heard? Oh, we're out. We can't get you. He couldn't bring any shirts to us. But is this like your last stretch with all your merch too and T-shirts or what?
This is the last stretch. We're going to have, we've got people that are passing out the rest of the shirts today to people that had requested them, and then there's people that are still wanting shirts that we're going to try to get them in the hands of before Saturday.
No leftovers for a re-election, though.
No, well, I'm sure my wife has got plans for that.
I'm sure she does. Okay, so Jordan, any questions for the candidate?
No questions. I just want to thank you for keeping. I mean, I don't know. I think this is such a pivotal moment for Washington Parish, and I just think it's amazing to be able to be a part of it and witness what's happening. And I'm just, I don't know, just very excited to see what's going on.
It's I think it's all about timing, right? So you recognize that there's an opportunity and you try to take advantage of it. I recognize that I was in a unique position that a lot of people aren't in, and I would have hated in 20 years for my kids to have moved off and for things to continue to deteriorate, and for me to say, you know what, I could have done something, but I just didn't want to be bothered. And so here we are. And I think the time is now. I don't think there's a class of people that's more disliked in the country than career politicians, and we're just seeing it at a local level.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so Jason, we always like to do a Hey North Shore here, but we could do a live political ad if you wanted to sell some people who at the last minute are still maybe on the fence about whether they should vote for you or not. What do you think? You want to do something like that?
Let's give it a shot.
Okay, so here is Jason Smith. You could start with, I don't know, Hey North Shore. Just do Hey Washington Parish. How about that? Okay, so it's a version of Hey North Shore, but here he is, Jason Smith, running for sheriff of Washington Parish. Here we go.
Hey, Washington Parish, I'm Jason Smith. I'm running for sheriff. If you're tired of career politicians telling you that things are good and you can look around and see that they're clearly not, it's time to vote for somebody that's committed to change, that's committed to making a difference, that's committed to providing the value from the sheriff's office to the community that we're all looking for. Things are not going the way that we think they could be going. We have an opportunity to make the community safer, to make this place a place where we want our kids to stay and grow up. And we just need you to come out and vote tomorrow.
Yeah. 10 seconds. Okay.
Come out and vote tomorrow. If you don't remember anything else, go vote tomorrow.
There you go. Jordan Dalton has even offered to give people rides to the polls. Is that right, Jordan? You said that yesterday.
I have offered to Uber people to the polls if they cannot. We put out our number. If they cannot get to the polls, please let me know, and I will make sure you get there.
You're going to make sure they get an Uber, or are you going to personally drive them?
No, I'm not going to personally drive them.
No one is getting in my car.
Well, no, it's not that. I will personally Uber you. So just let us know.
All right. So yeah, if you can't make it to the polls, you don't want to walk to the polls, Jordan Dalton. We'll see. If
I'll make sure you get there.
You heard it here first. You heard it here. Okay. And so how about this though? A lot of people have been talking about, and I think it's kind of it has been last week. Starting last week was kind of rough for your opponent, your opposition, especially when it comes to the Donna Arsenault story. WWL did a story on that. Did you see that?
Yeah, it got sent to me. I saw it.
Now, what do you think? I mean, if you're going to be sheriff, is this something like you could reopen or investigate as sheriff-elect? Are you going to go in and reopen any cases or re-examine any of these investigations?
Yeah, in principle, I agree with trying to shed sunlight wherever we can, but the reality of it is that I don't think the Washington Parish Sheriff's Office has ownership of the Donna Arsenault case. I think it's been turned over to the state police.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, by design? That was by design, or?
No, from what I understand, there were some irregularities or procedural things with the case when it was investigated by the WPSO, and so the state police stepped in and took it over, and I think they maintain ownership of that case now.
Oh, wow. Okay. And any cases like that, I mean, people say, well, you don't have the experience, but man, I mean, you've got the leadership, and I think that's the real thing that Washington Parish is missing right now. And that's half the battle to me is being a leader. First of all, if you hear in his commercial, he says he approves this message. That's already good. He's already making executive decisions
Well,
right there.
anybody can also say they have experience, and their track record shows different.
That's true.
You know, there's a difference in having years doing something.
Experience
and
doesn't always mean good.
Does not mean good.
That's true.
So.
So think about that before you go vote, but you got to go out and vote this Saturday.
Do your civic duty, please.
Jason, we're going to try to get the numbers up, over the primaries. When we saw the primary turnout for the voters, we hope that the runoff election is going to see a higher voter turnout.
Well, we're already on track for that. I think we had
Really?
163 more votes that were cast in the early voting than were cast in the primary round.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, so
Okay,
that bodes well for us, I think.
wow.
Yeah.
So they've already tallied the early vote. For
They've
this
already, you don't know how anybody voted yet, but they know the total number of votes that were cast.
Good,
yeah.
just more votes. That's
More
good.
votes, that's right.
That is good. More people getting out early voting. That's great. And I think this all leads back to Jason Smith for sheriff, Washington Parish. All right, anything you want to say before you go today, man?
No, listen, I appreciate the opportunity. You know, y'all have been very supportive and giving me the opportunity to try to reach people that I would not have been able to reach otherwise, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I've had my eye on Louisiana politics for a long time, and a lot of these career politicians, I was just talking about one this morning, and you'll notice they'll jump from, well, I used to be a congressman, and then I lost this election, so I'm trying to run for state treasurer right now. That's a real true story going on right now on our ballot coming up Saturday. So maybe not vote for the career politician. If you want change, I mean, people talk about change, and they talk a good game and everything, but that's just it. For some of these old boys, it is a game, and they've been playing for 30 years, and who's the loser in this game? Sometimes it's you. So think about that when you go vote. Make an educated vote this Saturday. And I wish I could, but I can't. He's not on my ballot. Jason Smith for sheriff. So there you have it. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being a force for change, really, in our listening area, Jason.
No, I appreciate it.
Okay. Jordan, final thoughts? We're going to move into, I think Larry Rolling is about to be rolling up here.
Cool.
Jason, have you met Larry Rolling yet?
I have. I met him at the Giddy Up. First part of this month. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, now, have you ever seen Silver Linings, the band that often plays at Giddy Up? Have you ever seen?
I've not.
Okay. Well, you have a chance. Friday, December 1st. We're just putting that out there. I'm getting a message from Frank Richron. What about Frank? How do you find Frank over at Giddy Up?
No, Frank's great.
Great guy, right? Yeah. And Larry Rolling is going to be coming up in here. Man, he's got, is it important? Let me ask you this. Is it important to build relationships with Washington Parish and St. Tammany, like, as good neighbors kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, without question. I mean, there's so many things that there's crossover on. You've got to have good working relationships with all the adjacent and supporting agencies if you're going to achieve any type of results. So.
Yeah. Well, you're very popular in Washington Parish, but you're also very popular in St. Tammany Parish. Like, people like you.
Well, that's good.
They really do.
That's what we're trying to go for.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you out on the campaign trail. We're going to be visiting with Larry Rolling. Before you know it, he'll be rolling on up here in the studio. We'll have Jordan Dalton. A little take on some news, maybe, Jordan? Yeah. Keeping it light on Friday, but keeping it real right here only on Cat Country 98.9. Y'all keep listening. TC and J in the AM. English Tea Room.